New York Rangers signed Alexis Lafrenière to a 2-year contract extension worth $2.325 million per season, so overall $4.65. And this was, really the last order of business for the Rangers this offseason. I mean, as we expected, there wouldn't be a whole lot that went on, and there wasn't. It was the re-sign, it was the extensions for Keandre Miller, same with Lafrenière, and as well the flurry of activity that happened during free agent frenzy. And that was, mostly depth players, if we're being honest, right? I mean, I think some of those players can definitely make, pretty big contributions, but this is a team that, based on the construction, based on, the cap situation the Rangers are in, they don't have the ability to really change a whole lot. And so the big change made was, of course, Gerard Gallant being let go and Peter Laviolette coming on. But let's talk about Lafrenière. So, look, I mean, I think if you asked anyone, after Lafrenière was drafted, that this would be, the first contract that he receives, I mean, I think everyone would have been pretty shocked. So, Kakko, just for comparison's sake, Kakko, the number 2 overall pick in 2019, Lafrenière, the number 1 pick in 2020. Kakko was given a 2-year deal worth $2.1 million per season, and Lafrenière a little bit more than that at $2.325. And, I think that there's a couple of things in play here with Lafrenière. I think the future is still bright for him. It's hard to envision him ever coming close to putting up number 1 overall production. I cannot see that happening. But, I think with a new coach, new system, it's a big time year for Lafrenière. And, for him, unfortunately, having Panarin and Kreider on that left side, it's made things a little bit difficult, as far as what to do. I mean, Lafrenière, they've tried him on the right side, and, Gallant made it seem like Lafrenière really wasn't able to do that. And if that's the case, you wish that, they've tried Kreider on the right side at times, Panarin really not at all that I can remember. But I don't want to make excuses for Lafrenière. I think that, when you don't play in the power play really much at all, it is going to be tough to put up big numbers. So, let's talk about the numbers he's had and sort of just my opinion of him over time. Now, Lafrenière, I mean, there was hype, major hype surrounding Alexis Lafrenière coming out of there. Now, not to the point of, Crosby, McDavid, Matthews, but a lot. Generational talent, I think, was thrown out there. And, year 1 for him was the 56-game season. Now, let's say this first off, been a healthy player. Injuries have not yet been an issue for Alexis Lafrenière at all. So, he, in his first season, 56 games, 12 goals, 9 assists, 21 points, -7. An underwhelming rookie year. I mean, coming out of there, I think, I think he ended out, I think he finished somewhat strong, if I remember correctly. Or there was a spurt towards the end where, he was coming on a little bit. 12 goals in 56 games. Not terrible, not great. I would say it was underwhelming in year 1, but again, it was a weird season, no fans. So, year 2, and that was under David Quinn. And so Quinn, there was a lot of criticism towards Quinn at the time, in terms of development and things like that. Gallant comes in, and look, now that is over, that 2-year experiment with Gallant is over, that did not really work out with Lafrenière either. Now, year 2, 79 games played, 19 goals, 12 assists, 31 points. So the 19 goals in 79 games, not bad, but only 31 points, not great. Was a +2, ups and downs. You remember that highlight reel goal versus the Red Wings, but I thought a very, very, very positive playoffs for Alexis. In 20 games, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. I think the only 2 goals he had was in the Pittsburgh series. One of them was a big goal. One of them was in Game 5. A nice pass by Kakko to Lafrenière in front. But that kid line was good. And Lafrenière really had, by the end of that Lightning series, I think Lafrenière had more juice than most of the rest of that roster. So like I took that as a positive, right? Just kind of like as we felt with Heedle. On a little bit of a different level, but you came out of there feeling good. And then this year, the playoffs were not good. 7 games, no points. Like the playoffs were just simply bad for Lafrenière. Nothing to hang her hat on there. The regular season, 81 games, 16 points, 23 assists, 39 points plus 10. So look, like in terms of the point totals, definite, ascension and, improving there. And look, the plus 10 means something as well. Someone who I don't think is seen as a great defensive player, but his awareness, I think that if we're being fair, I think that last year probably felt worse than it actually was for Lafrenière. It's just the foot speed isn't there for him. You really want him to become a faster player, and that's just not part of his game as currently constituted. But when he's at his best is when he is physical and just disrupting the other team. I mean, again, like what he did in that Pittsburgh series towards the end was critical. He in Game 7, the Zibanejad tying goal, that happens after Lafrenière kind of gets in a bit of a scrum and the Pittsburgh's defenseman helmet comes off, so he has to leave the ice. Just he was a bit of a pest, and he needs to be playing with that energy. And I think Laviolette might help that. I really think that Gallant and Lafrenière didn't really quite see eye to eye. Will we ever know confirmation of that? No, and it just didn't work out. And so I guess I fall somewhere in the middle as far as Lafrenière. I think that there's a lot to be desired, and I think that it's been a disappointment for him, but I think it's also fair to say that, I don't think he was really put in positions to succeed either. So now he's got to take opportunities and run with it. Absolutely. If he wants to be one of the top players in this game, he has to take that next step. It's within him. It is. I think there's upside there. I don't think we can write this off yet, but we're getting to that point, and hopefully with the new regime, new system, and Laviolette, who's an up-tempo sort of guy, different coach than Gallant. Do I fear that the results will be the same? I do, as a team. And that really speaks more to the Panarins and the Zibanejads and guys like that. Like, I don't know how different it gets, but for a guy like Lafrenière who's still a very young player, hopefully, a coaching change does the trick, and it needs to, and I just hope that he gets the chance. Like, for example, Kakko, I think that opportunity is right there, simply because you don't really have that many right wings. For Lafrenière, it's a little bit more complicated, but either way, I hope that he is given top minutes, sink or swim, for the young kids. Like, A, because you kind of don't have a choice, but B, it's best for them to see what you have, and I hope that there's a chance they get that power play time. Nothing should be handed to him, and it hasn't been in his career. He needs to earn it, but it's a give and take. So again, Alexis Lafrenière, the contract completely reasonable, and not a surprise. So 2-year deal worth $2.325 million per season. The Rangers will be cap compliant. They will probably have to go again with a 22-man roster, meaning one extra forward, one extra defenseman. It's what they've had to do recently, and I think that's the way that they will go. So it'll make the training camp interesting in terms of you might have one less spot available. Is there a way that they could finagle 23? I suppose it's possible, but I think it's rather unlikely, barring something unforeseen. So we're not too far away. Excited to see what training camp looks like with the new coach, right? I mean, I think that makes it a little more interesting. I want to hear these press conferences. I want to hear what Laviolette has to say. I want to hear what the players have to say, and how things hopefully will look different. It'll be an interesting season for the Rangers. Not a whole lot of turnover on the roster, and I think that the onus is on them. Like, this is you went from David Quinn to Gerard Gallant to Peter Laviolette. Like, now it's on you. Like, now, there's no more excuses. Like, we need to see just improvement in a lot of facets of the game. I think this is a playoff team, but I also think that the Eastern Conference is very, very competitive. And if the Rangers get off to a slow start like they did last year, that could be a problem. And we'll see what happens. So, let's, enjoy the rest of the offseason And I am excited for Ranger hockey to come back. And, please like and subscribe. There will be a lot of Ranger content that comes out. We'll be tracking to see who makes the opening night roster. And, maybe there'll be some interesting PTOs that come in. Think about last year. Jimmy Vesey was one, and that worked out well. And, he was given an extension. And so, maybe someone comes in and surprises as well. I think there'll be some open competition for some of those depth spots, forward and defense. So we'll see what happens. But again, Alexis Lafrenière, not unexpected. He is extended on a 2-year contract with the New York Rangers.